So what we tend to see in financial services is that there's three things that are generally holding back a financial institution to performing well in the digital channel. And if they get these three things right, they can begin to really flourish in a digital world. And so the first one is not having a clear digital strategy. And it's not just having a documented strategy, because a lot of people, anybody can go and create a PowerPoint deck, right, with a series of kind of initiatives listed out. But there's a lot more to it than that, right? I mean, for any strategy to be successful, you've got to have alignment and consensus. And for people to want to implement it, they've got to feel like they were kind of part of that process and involved in shaping it. The second disconnect is then around user experience and visual design. And we're, as an agency in San Francisco, for the last 18 years, we've been helping financial services clients as well as other organizations get the most out of the digital channel. And we're pretty passionate about beautiful, great visual design, right? But what you learn is that wonderful, beautiful visual design is a lot more than just a pretty face, right? There's depth to it, and it's the right kind of experience, and that's where a good user experience process really drives to it. Disconnect number 3 for us is that generally there's not enough work being put towards understanding the data analysis and the behavior of consumers inside those experiences. And it's not for lack of data. Most of our clients are data rich and insight poor. It's just that they're tracking the wrong things. They haven't done the work to really deeply understand what are the right metrics to be focusing on. And then for us, it's those 3 disconnects kind of form the virtuous circle, right? Where we're setting the strategy, we're doing the UX and design, we're tracking and measuring, and then we're feeding all the way back into resetting the strategy, right? So it never stops, and it won't ever stop. I think in a lot of ways, who's probably the best examples are the pure digital banks, right? The ones that where they're just laser focused, like the Orange savings account for so long was just, our kind of reason to be is we're going to generate deposit accounts that are going to hold this savings, and we're going to pay a high rate of return on that. That's our plan. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. There's alignment on that inside the organization. We work with a credit union, interestingly enough, in Canada, that is starting their own bank, and they're very clear in terms of this bank being a fully digital bank in terms of what the mission is for that initiative. I think the clarity on that is really a big deal, and alignment, so that you've got all of your kind of troops pointed in the same direction. I think JP Morgan Chase is doing a good job. I think they're getting a lot better. I think the larger banks are finally getting it now, and you see with some of the acquisitions they've made in terms of acquiring agencies, right, where they're really seeing that, okay, this is the future and where we need to go. And some banks, like take the acquisition of Adaptive Path by Capital One, a 40-person team, right, from AP, it goes to Capital One and now becomes almost 1,000 people. I mean, so they're building out that kind of capability internally. Yeah, I mean, and with that kind of sized group, with that kind of focus, I think what we'll see is continued improvement in terms of what those experiences look like. I would say that there's a whole, kind of swath of fintech organizations that really get it, right? They really understand simplicity, and they really understand their audience, right? So they understand a millennial customer, they understand what they want, right? Mm-hmm. Which is not and people, I think it's really easy to judge a millennials, kind of desires around things that are kind of untrue in a lot of ways. I mean, people say, oh, they love a good app, and it's a little kind of silly. I mean, who wouldn't love a good, who wants to have a subpar digital experience, and why is that easily judged? I mean, the idea that you're offering an experience that happens to fit in your back pocket and is incredibly intuitive and easy to use, why is that something that's unique to a millennial? I mean, I would say that's every customer, and I think that the fintech organizations really have a leg up because they don't have to contend with the kind of internal fiefdoms or the way things have always been done inside of the existing financial institutions of any size. $1 billion credit union has a lot of the same issues, just at a smaller scale as compared to the U.S. bank, for example. I mean, they're not really that different. I would say, I guess there's two, right? I mean, so I would segment it, and I would say that there's a current customer and then there's a prospective customer.
Okay.
And I would say, are we doing a really good job enabling the current customer to do everything they need? I would look at a lot. I would look at surveys. I would do workshops with customers. I would walk through with co-creation to say, hey, could this process be any easier, or the things we could do to make this better? I think that all those things will all add up to really being able to track that kind of existing customer experience. I mean, self-service is more than just, it's a leading indicator for a healthy relationship with a customer. So if you're giving them the ability to serve themselves, you're on the right track. We are one of the few digital agencies, I would say, that really cares deeply about building wonderful digital experiences. And so for financial services. And I think that it's an interesting, we love the problem domain. We find it fascinating. We also love the idea that we can bring great, top talent visual designers to be able to influence experiences, that we can really break down user experiences to its core components and then be able to bolt on analytics to make sure it's performing correctly. I think we're probably one of the few agency teams you could put in front of a board of directors or a C-suite and feel like you knew that you could have confidence that what you were going to get was the highest quality potential solution. So I feel like generally we're on the more expensive side as compared to our competitors, but what we bring to the table is a real kind of commitment and depth and passion for building just great experiences. And so financial institution that's out there saying, hey, look, this absolutely has to be done right, and we need to make sure we're all aligned around the solution, we tend to be a good fit.